This video is brought to you by HubSpot. When you first start at a job, or even if you've been there for a while, the feeling is always around. You don't belong here. How did you even get hired? You have no idea what you're doing. And it's not going to be pretty when work figures it out soon. Your peers breeze through tasks that take you forever, and here you are stuck for weeks on what should be an easy project. You're such a fraud. Why did you even think you could do this? You've achieved so much, and yet you can't shake off the fear that one day, everyone will see the truth, that you've just been lucky, not talented or deserving. This is the reality of imposter syndrome, a shadow that darkens your every accomplishment. But it doesn't have to be this way. In this video, I'll share with you the 3 things that have helped me with imposter syndrome. Hopefully, they'll work for you too. I don't have a computer science degree, and I had to scratch and claw my way to where I am. Today, I'm a principal software engineer at Amazon, where I've had an 18-year career. And were it not for these techniques and mental models, I probably would have sabotaged myself and limited my growth way earlier. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Steve. Basically, I make videos that I wish existed when I was coming up in the industry, and I put them up on the internet for free to help as many people as possible. If you want more like this, make sure to sign up for my email newsletter. Link is in the description. Also, if you've got a tip for dealing with imposter syndrome that worked for you, leave it in the comment section below and maybe it'll help somebody else out. Before we get into my first point, let me illustrate it with a picture. How much weight is on the barbell that this person is lifting? I can take a look at this and immediately know that there's 405 pounds on the bar. If you've heard me say this quickly, you might be impressed with my knowledge. But to me, it's not as impressive at all because I know the trick. Let me teach it to you. In the US, the standard barbell is 45 pounds, as are the big plates. Each pair of big plates is 90 pounds. There are 4 on each side. 4 times 90 is 360, and the barbell is 405. When you don't know something, people with knowledge you don't have seem impressive. When you gain that knowledge, it's no longer a big deal. This asymmetry is called the curse of knowledge. It's amplified when people talk about things that you don't know about. So let me share with you a meme so that you'll understand. If someone ever asks you what 45 plus 45 is, your immediate response should be, "Do you even lift, bro? It's 135. So now you know. And now it's no longer impressive now that you know the trick and the inside joke. All of the high achievers I know have a growth mindset. A growth mindset leads to learning valuable skills, making more money, and achieving the success that you want for your life. But the thing about setting out on that growth journey is that you can't help but notice those around you that have already completed things you haven't yet started. And that seems impressive and your accomplishments seem insignificant. And that's my first point. Imposter syndrome occurs because you are overly impressed by the achievements of others and you discount your own. The asymmetry of the curse of knowledge makes it really easy to feel as though you don't belong. Even when you do finally accomplish something, it somehow feels unimpressive. When you first start on something, you don't even know enough to ask a question. When you eventually gain skills, achieve your goals, or learn a new concept, these things become known knowns. But you never give yourself credit anywhere near the credit you gave others. You think you're a fraud, even though you've actually achieved a lot. One way to address feelings of imposter syndrome is by getting more productive. For many folks, the more productive you are, the more you feel like you've done all you can. To help you on this journey, HubSpot and I have collaborated to offer a set of productivity templates and a comprehensive 23-page ebook on workplace productivity, absolutely free for viewers. The templates are a really great way to enumerate the tasks that you need to do, but more importantly, score them based on priority so that you can make sure to do the most important things first. There are templates so you can estimate and categorize the size of tasks, templates to create a status report, and even templates to create a burn down report really easily. Getting structured around your work is the best way to ensure progress. The Workplace Productivity Guide is jam-packed with tips and tricks on how to beat procrastination, find flow state, and on mastering remote work. There are tips on how to start your day off with a bang, identifying what distracts you, and making your meetings as efficient as possible. As you efficiently manage your tasks and see tangible results, you reinforce your confidence in your abilities. It's one way to prove to yourself that you're competent, skilled, and deserving of your successes. To receive the template and the ebook all for free, simply follow the link in the description. Thanks again to HubSpot for creating these resources and making today's video possible. Before I get to my second point, I'd like to make it clear that while some amount of increased productivity certainly can help with your feelings, it's not a silver bullet. There's more to it. The reason is because imposter syndrome is an emotion. Specifically, it's an emotion that exists despite the fact that there's evidence to the contrary. Facts alone won't work to counteract emotions. Michelle Obama, Tom Hanks, Tina Fey, Sheryl Sandberg, the list goes on with talented and accomplished folks who have opened up about their imposter syndrome feelings. And those are the people that admit to it. If facts worked, then talented people wouldn't feel these emotions. Keeping these emotions to yourself adds to the loneliness that is characteristic to imposter syndrome. Let me share with you a story. I was promoted to senior engineer in 2012, and to be honest, it was a pretty fast promotion from mid-level software engineer at a big tech company. And after my promotion, we were spinning up a new product, and I was leading the project. I'd recently heard the advice that if you felt like an imposter, you should keep those feelings to yourself and power through it. On this new project, I was handling the authentication and authorization portion. Auth-N and Auth-C were really important to the project because we were working with businesses and we were dealing with money. Lots and lots of money. So because of its importance, I decided that I needed to personally handle this aspect of it, and I couldn't get it to work for the life of me. I read the documentation for the library and services I was using like 20 times. I tried the code every which way and it just wasn't working. And the deadline was starting to come closer and closer. All I could think to myself was that I was a senior engineer and I should be able to work through these sorts of issues. For a couple of weeks, I felt like such a big phony. Nothing I tried worked. I put in nights and weekends. And so finally, when I couldn't put it off anymore, I removed my mask and I admitted to my team that I was stuck and needed help. A team member asked me if I was using the latest version of the library I was blocked on. Yes, of course I was. It turns out that the latest version of the library has this show-stopping bug with it. The workaround was to downgrade the version until the bug was fixed. And of course, when I did all of that, my code worked flawlessly. And that's my second point. Sharing your challenges, struggles, and emotions with people disarms those emotions. Sharing your struggles gives other people the opportunity to help you. They can't if they don't know what you're going through. And naming your emotions disarms them. You may think that sharing your struggles with people makes you seem weak, but the reality is the opposite. It takes courage and strength to be vulnerable and to share what you're going through. Now, I've looked at the demographics for my YouTube videos and it's more than 95% male. I wish it was more balanced, but it's more of a reflection of the industry than my content. Well, at least I hope so. Society has somehow trained men that when difficult emotions crop up, they should grin and bear it. Or what someone told me 12 years ago, to power through. But when you name and share your feelings with others, it gives you perspective on their effect on you and removes their power over you. So I encourage you to speak with someone about these feelings, whether it's your partner or a good friend or a therapist. And in a work setting, whenever you encounter obstacles, make sure you let others know about them. Some of the best engineers I know won't proceed until they actually understand the concepts and context during a meeting. You might think that you're betraying your ignorance if you ask follow-up questions, especially at the beginning. But it's better to ask these questions earlier and build a foundation, rather than late in the process, when it'll become evidently clear you don't understand the basics. None of this can happen though unless you share what you know and what you don't know, or that you're struggling with others. Before I get to my final point, I want to share with you what a distinguished engineer once said to me, and it absolutely blew my mind. He told me he actively seeks situations where he's not the expert in the room. Back in the 80s, he was a world-class expert in operating systems, Unix, the kernel, scheduler, process management, all that. And then he decided that he wanted to learn databases. And so he surrounded himself with experts on purpose, like the folks that invented relational databases. Now, he definitely was not an expert on databases when he started, and in 2 years, he was world-class at them, publishing papers on the cutting edge, and he led the group. Then he decided that he wanted to do the same thing with networking. He knew a bit about networking, but nothing close to the experts he surrounded himself with. Now he's world-class in at least 3 things, and he's made a legendary impact on Amazon and AWS based on his expertise. It's not the knowledge that impresses me about him, it's the attitude. Instead of saying, man, everyone around me is an expert, he said, man, everyone around me is an expert. Which leads me to my final point. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Because everything is figure-outable, your attitude is the biggest factor to your success. When you start in a new team, work on a new project, or achieve that promotion, you should trust that the people that put you in that position are setting you up for success. They saw something in you and they assigned you tough problems, not so that you could fail, but so that you could succeed. If you notice that the people around you are crazy competent, professional, mature, and know what they're talking about, you know you're in a good spot. They can't help but rub off on you if you're open to it. Otherwise, you might sabotage yourself and do the opposite and isolate yourself. If you're feeling like an imposter right now because everyone around you is so good and you aren't yet, see if you can't transform it into an opportunity. If you can reframe your thinking around challenges at work in real life, things can change for the better. And maybe you too can become a legendary engineer. If you enjoyed today's video, none of it matters if you don't manage your time correctly. Here's my video on how I have time for everything.